Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Just like always, I'm Brian. And recently I got a comment on my $1,800 Kavari Project Firestarter build, and it was, "Bro, do you have a review on this build?" And that made me realize that I don't. I did a build video and I completely forgot about overclocking it. Well, I didn't forget, but I forgot about making a video about overclocking it, showing the results, and showing like overall thermals and what was on the inside and the final product. So today I'm going to be doing an overview and a review of all the updates I've done and give you guys some numbers to look at and tell you basically how much it would cost to build it now, because it's a lot cheaper. So pay attention to today's overview, Chanley style. Alright guys, if you haven't actually seen the original Firestarter build, go ahead and click the link in the video on the screen and check it out. I recommend it. Otherwise, continue watching. A lot had to change to get this build to work the way I wanted it to, because the MSI board and the Kavari processor I was using just didn't want to work or link up with AverMedia. Unfortunately, I had to spend a little bit of extra cash, upgrade to a Devil's Canyon processor and a Sniper M1, or I'm sorry, a G1 Sniper M5 motherboard, which really I haven't regretted doing. And I wanted to get a little bit more experience with all-in-one coolers, so I went and threw that one in, so that way my test build air cooler would, be part of its own purpose. I only threw it in there for a temporary thing anyway, because really I want to overclock, because really I want to spend some time and water cool this if I ever find the space or the proper setup. But man, this thing just doesn't look like it's going to get water cooled. It's just too confined, and the hardware just isn't, it's just not in the cards. First I want to start off with just the hardware updates. I added some fans here, and back here. I did a little video on how I increased the airflow, so if you want to check that out, I'll make it pop up in this general area. Just go ahead and click there and save it for later. I added the Lictech 120X, like I said before. Below it I have the i5 4690K. I decided to keep the RAM because I figured since it's Sniper RAM and the motherboard's a Sniper, I like the the theme going there. Unfortunately, my mess of wires is tucked up in here because there was really nowhere else to put them since all the space was taken up behind the power supply. I had to move the USB 3.0 from up here, tucked behind the motherboard tray, looped it around and over here because that was the one big difference between the MSI and the Gigabyte boards, except for the obvious, compatibility issues. One of the things I don't really like is it got red, orange, green, blue, just this menagerie of colors, and I'm going to try to figure out some way to make it more of a black and green theme, but really I think I'm just going to have to live with what I have right now. As for the Lictech, if you guys want to see the review or the installation guide on this, I'll have those posted at the end of the video. As for the overall thermals inside of the case, according to the Recon, it's somewhere between about 32 degrees Celsius and about 55 depending on what I'm doing. If we're just watching TV and it's hot in the room, it'll get up to about 40. If I'm gaming, I've seen it max out around 55 degrees Celsius total in the entire case, which I think is pretty good for as enclosed and very lack of airflow this case has. First off, I'd just like to preface my results by telling you this first. Both CPUs are overclocked to 4.2 gigahertz. I just wanted to make it fair, and because that's really where they were most stable at. And I did not overclock the GPUs because of just really the air constraints and the space constraints up at the top. They were just getting really hot, and I just figured it'd be better overall if I did not overclock them, just for thermal reasons, really. And really, these results I think will surprise you. So if you look at score 1, that's Firestarter 2.0 with the Intel processor, and if you look at score 2, that's the original Firestarter, plain and simple. RAM's the same, GPUs are the same, so really all we're looking at is CPU differences. As you can see, that the difference really is only that this one was taken at March 14th and these results were taken on January 11th, so they're separated by about 2 months, which really isn't that much time. GPUs are exactly the same, all the clocks are the same. This is where it gets into the differences. You got your Intel processor, which was clocked to 4.2, and for some reason the AMD processor only ramped up to 4.0, but it was overclocked to 4.2. I even used the AI Genie on the MSI, so it automatically overclocked it to 4.2. Operating systems are the same, motherboards are different, RAM is exactly the same, RAM speed is exactly the same. And this is where it gets into the very, very minor differences. You've got your 3D Mark score, which is separated by really 200 points, 203 points, which I don't think is that much, especially since the Intel processor is almost double the price of the AMD processor. Your graphics scores, exactly the same. In fact, the Intel one took a 2-point loss, which I'm just going to call that kind of, to avoid statistic terms, it's okay to be 2 points off. That's not a huge enough difference for the results to matter. Now that's where it becomes different. Obviously, Intel is always better at physics, so that's where the scores are really going to differ. The Intel processor pretty much doubled the AMD processor's physics scores. The combined scores are really not that far off, though, with the Intel only coming out 20 points ahead, which that's enough points to note a difference, but it's not a big difference. The graphics test is only separated by 0.2 FPS. Not a huge enough difference to matter. Graphics test 2 is separated by 0.1 in favor of AMD. Still not a big enough difference. Physics test. Intel got 25.5 and AMD got 13.7 FPS in the physics. Like I said, Intel's always been better at physics, so really that's just your biggest difference. And then the combined test is also separated by 0.11 FPS. Not big enough to note a difference. These are ultra settings on the Firestrike, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that or if you guys noticed at the beginning. So really, these processors are head-to-head. Someone tried to tell me that an i3 is comparable to the A10 7850K, but really, I think they're full of shit. Physics can be made up by your GPUs if you have two of them, like I do. And really, there wasn't a noticeable playable difference when I was using both of these setups. So having the physics be slightly higher on the Intel side really didn't make that much of a difference to me. So final thoughts on this. I've looked it up on PC Part Picker, and really the price difference between the AMD version and the Intel version of Project Firestarter is about $200. This would cost you around $1,400, not really factoring in shipping. Unless you get all free shipping, then $1,400 to build what I have right behind me. And if you have the AMD version, it's about $1,200, give or take, depending on sales. Really, the $200 difference to me is worth it because I wanted to use my AverMedia card for streaming, and yes, it works amazingly. I have streamed some of my Wii gaming. I have streamed Rock Band Night. You guys should come in and check it out live because with the whole rights of music and things like that, if you don't watch it live, you can't watch the recording because they cut all the sound out thanks to the person who bought Twitch. Not going to name names. Anyway, if you're not trying to stream, you know, cut out the AverMedia card. That's an easy almost $200 off the top. And so then you're looking at about $1,000 to build this computer AMD side, and you really won't notice a difference. These GPUs do not bottleneck the AverMedia, or I'm sorry. These GPUs do not bottleneck the Kavari processors that are out right now. The A10 7850K is not bottlenecked by two 280X Radeon cards. Just flat, plain and simple. There was not a big enough difference to notice. So really, it's up to you whether you want to go Intel or AMD. Alright guys, I really appreciate you sticking around, checking out my update. If you'd like to see any of the updates or videos I've done for unboxings of the new components, temperatures, overclocking results, just overall thermals and things like that, I will have all the videos posted at the end on the little Chanley style logo with links and everything. You go ahead and just click on whichever one you want, take you to where you need to go, and you'll get you more information. If you follow me on Facebook or Twitter, then you will know that the first Intel processor I got needed to be delidded or RMA'd, and I went ahead and decided that I would RMA it. I really do appreciate those of you that participated in my straw poll. It really did have some serious answers that I was curious about your guys' opinions on, and I threw in a couple of joke answers. The overall results were 44% of people would just cry deeply if they had to delid their CPU if it was thermaling at about 100 degrees Celsius. The other 33% said RMA it. We had 7% that said they would not overclock again, and then 15% said delid, which I would have done if I wasn't still 3 days within the window of just returning it to Fry's. I didn't have to ship it or anything. I just got in the car, drove 10 minutes, took it to Fry's, got a new one, and I'm golden. Maybe next time, guys. Delidding doesn't really scare me, but if I don't have to do it, I'm not going to, because that really just would have been a step that I would have had to take that I didn't have to take. Just to finish this up, go ahead and check out my Twitch as well. Like I said, I like to stream with this, so if you want to come hang out, request some Rock Band songs, talk shit, or just overall hang out with me while I play Zelda and we can talk about Link and all things like that, cool by me. Come hang out. But this was the update and overview of Project Firestarter done Chanley style.